A message given by Ann Rollins on February 18th, 1916. Who and what is God? I am here, your grandmother. Well, my son, I come tonight, as I promised, for the purpose of writing you a letter, telling you of a certain spiritual truth that I desire you to know. I am now in the third celestial sphere, as I already told you, and am in a much more exalted condition in my knowledge of spiritual truths than I have ever been, and have opened up to me a spiritual view that increases my understanding of truth and of the question of the Father's provisions for the happiness and salvation of His children. I know now more than ever that He is a real, existing God of love and power and wisdom, and that wrath, such as it taught in the Bible, is no part of His nature, and that He has for His children on earth as well as in the spirit world only love and solicitude and sympathy. He is not a God that is afar off waiting for the arrival of the great judgment day in order to approve or condemn His children according to the deeds done on earth. But He is with all men and spirits in a way that His influence of love and beneficence may be felt by them if they will only place themselves in that condition of receptivity of soul, that such influence may be felt. For, as we have before said, the relationship and nearness of God to men depends to a very large extent upon the will and desires of man himself. God is not in what may be called His personality with men, as has been taught by the teachers of the religions of the Bibles of the world, and men do not live, move, and have in Him their being, as St. Paul wrote, for His personality has a location which is not everywhere but in the high heavens. I know that this will appear startling to many persons, orthodox and otherwise, and that it apparently takes from them the consolation of believing and feeling that God is with and in them. But nevertheless, what I say is true. He is not in them, or in nature, as some of the scientists who believe in God say. He is not in every flower or tree or other manifestation of His creation, and as regards His personality, is not omnipresent, though He has a knowledge of all things which He created. I say, which He has created, for there are some things which appear to man as a part of the realities of the universe, which He did not create, but which man alone created, and for these things has no love, and does not approve of or favor their existence, and in the end they will be destroyed from the face of His universe. And when I say that God, in His personality, is not everywhere and not with men, at all times forming a part of their being, I do not mean that it shall be understood He is not the loving, watchful Father, trying to make them happy and save them from the results of their own many wrongdoings, for such inference would not be true. And while, as I say, He is not with men in His personality, yet He is with them in the sense and truth that His attributes of love and wisdom and knowledge and power are with them always. Life emanates from God, but life is not God. It is only one of His attributes conferred upon the objects of His creation, that they may live and grow and fulfill the design of their creation. And when that purpose has been accomplished, he withdraws from them this attribute of life, and men can realize that fact. God has not himself ceased to be a part of that object, for he never was a part of it, but only this attribute has ceased to be part of the object. God is the source and origin of all life, but that life is merely one of his creatures, as we say, as is men or other things which mortals call matter. Man does not live and move and have his being in God, but merely in the attributes of God. So you see, not all these attributes together constitute God, for he is a personality, from which all these attributes flow. I know that it is difficult for you to comprehend the full purport of what I intend to convey, but you may in a way grasp my meaning. Love is a greater attribute than even life. But love is not God, just as love is not man, though it is his greatest possession when it exists in its purity. And as man has many attributes which altogether do not make the man, so God has many, and yet they are only parts of his nature, and not he. Man has a physical body and a mind, and yet they do not constitute man, for he may lose them both and still be man, or spirit, that is the ego. The soul is the real man, the personality. And all the wonderful parts of men, such as the mind, and affections, and desires, and will, are merely of him, and if he were deprived of any of them, he still would be man, though not the perfect man, as when they are all with him performing the proper functions. And man is so created that, unless he has these qualities, which in his creation were made parts of him, in which were necessary to make him the perfect creature that he was, while he is still man, yet he is not the perfect man that God decreed him to be. And until these qualities are fully restored or regained by him, he will not be the man that was the greatest handiwork of the Almighty. And God is not God by reason of having these qualities, but these qualities exist because they are the attributes of God. He never loses them, nor do they become hidden or cease to do their functioning, but always are they existing and working and obedient to his being. God is soul, and soul is God, and in the soul does his personality consist without individuality, but real and existing, and life from which flow all these attributes of life and love, etc., of which I have spoken. God is spirit, but spirit is not God, only one of his qualities. I write this to give you some additional conception of who and what God is, and to show you that he is not in a man, nor does man have his being in God, to further show you that God does not and could not exist in the same place with those things which are not in accord with his nature and qualities. And were he in man, or man in him, then no sin or error of things which violate would exist. I must stop now, but will come soon to finish my message. With all my love, I am your grandmother.